given an opportunity to resign or resign. So, and that's Judge Michael Livingston. You did not appoint, by the way. So, we're not here, I'm not going to beat up on you over that. But scroll forward a few months, and then you take Tom Hodgson in the Plymouth County Sheriff, gets a phone call from, Bristol County. Scroll forward, and Tom Hodgson gets a phone call from an acting city councilor in New Bedford, an John Saunders, a retired judge, John Markey, and Viv McLean, the next senator, saying, would you please give our buddy Mike a job? Judge Hodgson creates a job, pays him $39,000, with the sole purpose of letting him sit out a few years so that he can qualify for a $129,000 a year pension. You know, we're all going to pay for that. Okay, there's two issues here, and this is what I'd like to ask you to comment on. Number one, political patronage has victims. Every one of them. We have to pay for it. You know, think of the guy that probably deserved that job if it was a legitimate job in the first place. But here's a guy just sitting back, doing nothing, you know, just biding his time till he qualifies for a pension 3 or 4 years out. So the political patronage is an issue. The second thing is the pension reform that you've been working on a lot. I mean, it's so wrong for us to have to cough up the money for $129,000 when this guy was forced out of public service by the commission. I mean, did he deserve what he got? He probably deserved the worst, but he got off easy with the resignation. So
I think I'm here
political patronage, the ethics violations.
Right.
Secondly, the pension reform.
So
and what could we have done? What could you do? What could the attorney? You know, what could?
So Dan, first, can I please be excused from the specifics of the case because I don't know the specifics of the case, and if it's I can try to respond generally, but without talking about that individual.
I don't know how much you're aware of it at that level. So.
Well, it sounds like you've written to me about it, so I will. But
I'll send you another copy.
Look, we have or had every single day in the newspaper some story about some game being played on in the pension system, day after day after day. And that's why we pushed for pension reform, and we got it unanimously, by the way, in both houses. People have been talking about this for decades or more. The easy, obvious foolishness is over. You know, the 23 years and out rule. You ever heard of that? At the T, where you join at 18 and leave in your 40s, and then start another job and start right then collecting your pension right then, and then start earning another pension, or the king for a day rule, where you are supervisor for a day and you're injured. And those practices are over with the pension reform bill. Now, there's a pension reform commission that is studying the stuff that required a little bit more actuarial work, some of the disability rules and so on, pension caps, for example. Which I support, but the question is, what's the level that makes the most sense? But I was going to say stupid stuff. The most flagrant practices are. I know. I heard that. Definitely not a good one. The most flagrant practices have ended with this bill. I just don't know whether in that instance that individual is affected by these changes, but I can look into that. The second question about political patronage, you know, I ran right into a buzzsaw on this myself. Remember when I tried to put somebody into HEFA?
Absolutely.
And it was completely viewed as a favor. In fact, I was trying to get a change over there. I couldn't get with the current leadership that would save millions of dollars, and haven't gotten. But I got creamed in the press. We never got ahead of that story, and she never got a chance to show what she could do over there. So I understand, every day that I'm in this job, I understand how important it is to have people you appoint actually pulling in the same direction as I am. And you wouldn't believe how incredibly, you think it's obvious, but it's not. People take jobs and then they go off and they do their own thing, and they're not actually trying to deliver. I mean, Barbara, right? And I'm not talking about anybody in a particular agency, but it's one thing for me to say we're going to deliver 10,000 jobs, and then you deal with the reality Barbara's talking about, where I'm out there saying, oh, when do we get to convene all these young people and celebrate what they've done, have a great press conference, and she's saying that the folks haven't even been hired. It's that disconnect I'm talking about. So the more I'm in this job, the more I feel like you really do have to have, as at least a part of the equation, someone who's actually trying to accomplish what you set out to accomplish. And some people will call that political patronage. I don't think in every case it is. And certainly in the circumstances you talked about, it's troubling.
This is very troubling.
Yeah.
And I've written to your office, and one of your staff got back with me and forwarded my letter over to the Attorney General's office. And I just heard from them that they found that it wasn't something that meets their criteria to further investigate. So my next letter is to the Ethics Commission.
Well, you know what? I wonder if it's the Ethics Commission or the Pension Review Board. Because that's really what you're getting at, right?
Yes.
It's somebody who is gaming the system, or at least allegedly. I'm trying to be respectful because I don't know what the other side of the story is. But someone who is gaming the system, and to your point, we all pay for that, and that's what pension reform is for.
Yeah, I think of the guy that's, could have used that job,
Yeah.
again, if it was legitimate.
Right.
There's a lot of people that would give their left arm for
Right.
a job like that.
Right.
So,
I got it.
thank you.
But me and 156 registered voters in Plymouth are going to be watching you.
Well, that's your job.
I will keep this to 3 minutes. If you would have one of your aides print that out and read it.
My story here?
Yes. Do I have your word?
I can read that, sure.
Not my story here.
You mean read more than my story
Right.
here? Actually, I can read what's on the
On the blog.
on the blog. I will do that, sure.
Okay.
What's this mean down here?
4-day-a-month dad. I'm going to take more than 3 minutes if I explain that.
Okay, all right.
For 18 months under the temporary orders in a divorce, I saw my son every other weekend. I was a 4-day-a-month dad.
How old is your son?
He's 15, but he's special needs, so he's more like 6 or 8. You know what it's like to be discriminated against?
Mm-hmm.
How many people in this room know what it's like to be really discriminated against? What did my son do that he should be deprived of a loving father for 18 months? 4 days a month, that's all. What am I? Why should I be discriminated against? I'm a man, I'm a father. I love my son very much, and my daughter too. So, now you know about the problem of divorce reform. I was going to go into some points, but I just want to leave you with this. It's discrimination.
I second that.
I heard it.
After I read it? So, John, thank you for your point. Thank you for your enthusiastic applause. I'm going to try one more time to explain that I am not the petitioner. I understand what you look to me for. I said I would read it. I said I would meet with the shared parenting folks. I have. I said I would look at the bills as they work their way through the legislature, and I will. And I said at that meeting that I would talk with the chief judge and get her point of view on some of these points and facilitate whatever meeting needs to happen between between fathers and their representatives and her. And I have done that as well. So let me read what you had. I appreciate the stories. I've been, I was that child. So I have some sense of what this issue is, but I also know that there are multiple sides to these.
Would term limits help that problem?
What do
Term
you
limits for judges, would that help the problem?
I'm not going there. I like that. I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Why not?
Because I don't think it would help.
You don't.
Shared parenting might help.
But shared parenting bill died.
Thank you very much.
Didn't the shared
Thank you.
parenting bill die in committee?
I don't run the legislature.
No, the lawyers do. It's colluded with lawyers. That's why they won't help us. That's why we need someone from outside the legislature to step up and say, this is an issue. We need these family courts audited.
Yes.
The legislature has forsaken us. They're not going to show up. Tom Hanks from
There's no
Mattabush.
checks and balances.
They're not going to show up and say, I'm putting us all out of business today. Everyone is getting rich off the destruction of the family over the legislature.
Yes.
Okay? All the lawyers are getting rich off of that. We've been forsaken by the legislature, and we're asking someone from outside to step up and say, you know what, this is wrong. We're not going to leave it up to the legislature, because they're not going to help us. They're going to take these bills, and they're going to die in committee, as they have done year after year. Someone has to shine the light, and if someone would maybe put a camera in one of these courts, so they could see some of the insane decisions that are being made. Interesting idea. Don't you think that might help? Maybe that might be my son.
You know what? Hold on. Stop. Hold on. First of all, are you going through this right now?
Absolutely.
You living with this right now?
Absolutely.
John, you are?
It never ends.
It never
Are
ends.
you dealing with this right now in your
So am
house?
I.
I was forced to sign a divorce
And you
agreement.
as well?
Well, go to jail 90 days.
a relative. It's always do this. And 86% of the public, my name is Greg Sabine, I live in Brockton. I'm a friend of Dr. Ned Holstein. Thank you for talking to him. But 86% of the public supports the notion of shared parenting. That unless one parent is abusive, both parents have a right to those children, and those children have a right to both parents. Public is behind you.
It's the law.
Take the bully pulpit, tell the legislature to make it law and sign it.
It's in the child enforcement, divorce, child support guidelines. It's in the
I came here tonight to speak for a naval veteran who's been through torture, who lives in Barnstable County. What he has lived is unbelievable. What he has done for this country in combat is unbelievable. His name is Paul Gibberti, and I'm going to read you his whole story. I haven't slept a night since he came to me last week. And the worst thing is, with all that he's been through, he was waterboarded in the Navy twice as part of his special training forces. And with all of the gagging and the water coming at him and thinking he was going to die, the worst suffering he has had when his children were taken out of his life, thrown out of the house that he owned before he was married, living in a trailer. I look at that flag. He fought for our freedom. We shouldn't sleep one night with Paul Gibberti losing his children and being falsely accused. You read his story. I've been to the press. You read his story, and I've asked you to intervene. It's the truth. It is the truth. I cannot sleep knowing that this man who gave us our freedoms has no hope. He has no hope, and he has promised when he goes into the Barnstable court, he is going to jail. You either give him 50% shared custody, or he is going to jail. He said jail will be a snap compared to what he lived through in the military. It is the truth. And Dr. Holstein told you he's a national treasure.
He was great.
And he loves children. Everything he says you can take to the bank. It's the truth. And these people, 86%, it has been voted on in a non-binding referendum in 2004. 86% of the public says yes, children need both parents. What is so hard about that? Do it now, please. Do it for this man.
Do it for his kids.
Do it for his children.
Yeah.
Do it for those guys.
Thank you.
I lost my three, they're gone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to say just one last thing, not to debate, I'm going to just make one point. To all of the folks who've been advocating for shared parenting, and you have come, God bless you, to every single one of these public forums. Every single one. And we have had a lot of conversation at every one about this subject. And as I said, we've had the meetings that I described and the meetings that I have offered to have with offered to broker with the Chief Judge. I've been asked on more than one occasion to make this my top priority, or make this a top priority. And I know it's a priority in your lives.
The children are suffering.
Can I have a turn? Okay. I know it's a priority in your lives and that you are living this torment right now. I got that. I am also working on some other things. It doesn't mean this is not important. It doesn't mean this is not important. Now, I don't accept, and I have asked this question, I asked it of Ned, by the way, the other day. Did you say your name is John?
My name is Greg Fairbanks.
I'm sorry, Greg.
I've been to your office, dropped mailing with my picture.
Greg, I'm talking. I'm talking. I was quiet while you spoke. Okay, can I have a chance?
My apologies.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean for this to get hot, but it's a little frustrating. There's a lot of stuff on people's minds. And so let me just finish with this. By the way, if you have not had your mail responded to, I will take care of that. I'm going to do what I promised I would do with the Chief Judge and with the legislative leadership. The point I was making just then, Greg, before you spoke, is that I have asked the question repeatedly, and I asked this of Ned as well, maybe you can help me with this, is to identify who in the legislature has shown some willingness to lead on this. I know you have the view, did you say earlier, that it's never going to happen in the legislature because...
Well, you mentioned
Wait, I know you have passion about this. I respect this. I just want to finish this so we can wrap up, okay? That the members of the legislature, because they are lawyers, won't have an interest in moving this. But what's that?
That's not true. I know people will help out.
So so maybe we can have that conversation, all right? And maybe there's a way I can help in that respect. But I'm gonna have to close this out, okay?
I'd just like to add that the probate courts will not explain their decisions and they will not explain the laws. In other words, when a judge makes a decision, they tell you have to go now. And if you ask too many questions, you'll be thrown out.
Yeah.
And they're not respecting us at all. And the problem I have is they'll make a decision, they'll legislate right from the bench. For example, they made a decision, there's nothing wrong with a wrong decision, because I was concerned about an error, and I was supposed to be silent after that. So they're legislating right from the bench, and they won't explain the law. I'm doing this for such and such reason. There's no explanation whatsoever.
That's it.
Thank you.
No, I know, I can, no, really.
Who in the legislature would help, but Scott Brown, Representative Scott Brown.
Yeah.
He's been helpful.
Cynthia Cream, wasn't she helpful?
I believe he is.
No, I think she's been terrible. That's not the same person I know.
Okay, well, that sounds like the beginning of a coalition.
But there are people that are willing to do it. It's just...
All right, so, I gotta go.
Thank you.
Let me thank you all for coming out and bringing your passion. Barbara, don't go, I want to touch you. Thank you for staying engaged. If you have a comment or question we didn't get to,